Join us today on Two Guys on a Porch. We continue our conversation with Chris Nischan, having Masters Keep Triumph, as we continue to explore the idea of, can your passion lead to your profession?
Welcome to Two Guys on a Porch. I'm Jason. This is Bradford. As always, we have my trusty honey dog, Kim, with us. Bradford and I have been sitting on a porch for decades, enjoying a glass of brown water, always flavored with the flavor of friendship. Tag that with a fellowship stick and talk about life. Occasionally we learn something. Occasionally we figure out something in life, but always we have a great time doing it. We're back on the porch. I say back on the porch. We never left. We were in our last episode. We were here with our buddy Chris Nischan, and we're continuing on the porch, drinking wild turkey products and having a good old time with Chris. So, cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. Technically we never left, but yeah.
Well, in addition,
You could have cut me off at one.
In addition to the Russell's Reserve, that we still have an opportunity to continue drinking, and I think we're going to skip the 10-year. Not that it's bad whiskey, but when you have the choice between the 10 and the 15, it's pretty clear.
Yes.
But for this episode, we also, and I know you like rye.
I do like rye. I enjoy rye.
I am aware, and so I asked Jason to bring out a bottle of Masters Keep, which is an annual release that Wild Turkey does of really exclusive hand-selected barrels. And this is their Triumph, and I don't recall what year this came out. It's been in the last 2 or 3. And it is their rye whiskey expression. And I'd had it before, and it is exceptional, and I don't like rye. So it's not good for a rye. It's really good whiskey.
Yeah, I agree. Wild Turkey is unusual in the sense that they are very consistent with their mash bill. Their mash bill is always the same. They have great consistency. Jimmy Russell, now Eddie, they do a great job of what they're doing. But with this Masters Keep, they change it up and play with the mash bill a little bit. That's the only exception. Lots of other distillers will do that all the time. Wild Turkey keeps it consistent, except for their Masters Keep series. And this one's 51% rye. So this is certainly not a bourbon. It's a rye whiskey. It's 37% corn. The remaining 12% malted barley. And when you drink this, you don't get those spice notes that you typically get in a barley. In a rye. Almost, I think they messed up on the recipe or, got confused because this is not a rye whiskey.
I think that high corn content for a rye whiskey at 37%, which is it's a little higher than most rye whiskeys. I think it softens it.
Yeah.
Well, all I have to say to you, Bradford, is welcome to the light.
I know. I've had a few ryes that have been really good, and I think it almost makes me a rye snob because the ones I've had that I like are the Pappy 13-year rye. This Triumph is exceptional. There have been a couple where I'm like, wow, that's really good. But I've had things like the Whistle Pig Boss Hog, which is high rye. I don't care for it.
Yeah.
So
this has a light nose, light leather nose, light mid-palate. The finish is not as full mouth as that Russell's 15, but still a great finish. I don't taste the spiciness of the rye. I think you can pick out that corn in there, and you use the word sweetness, and yeah, sweet caramel taste to it. You taste that char in there. It's the finish is much shorter than that 15 Russell's. Between the Triumph and the Russell's 15, I would keep drinking the 15.
Well,
it's more complex, more full mouth. It's just the flavors really jump at you on that 15.
Well, I have learned not to interject any of my tasting notes.
No.
I was once at our buddy's house, handed me a 15 Pappy and a 23 Pappy. Both my wife and myself picked the 15, and he said, that's because you don't have good taste.
Oh, I did not say that. For the record, I did not say that, especially Delisha. I would never say that to Delisha.
And listen, that is not an uncommon selection. A lot of people prefer the 15 Pappy over the 23. So that's not an unusual thing at all for you to have done that.
But we're, I digress. I really enjoy this Triumph.
Yeah, I do
being
too.
a rye drinker and a bourbon drinker. And, of course, I'm the unwashed because I love rum. So this has that rye on the side of my tongue. I can feel the rye kick, but it's nothing like what you mentioned, drinking a Whistle Pig or some other high expression of rye.
Yeah, and just for reference, this is not something that you're typically going to walk in and find at a store. You might, but secondary market and MSRP is $300, and so you can readily find this for what it was listed for by Wild Turkey.
And plus, it's a limited production. So
Yeah.
and it's not, and it's a one-time release. So it's not like it's not like 101 or Russell's 10-year. They're not come out with this every year.
No, and I'd love to be able to taste all 10 of their expressions that they've done over the years. I think going back to
The Master's Keeps.
Yeah. We've done the Voyage, which we love.
Yeah, Voyage is awesome.
The Triumph, now the second one we've had on the show. So yeah, I think what they've done with these Master's Keeps is amazing.
You know what I really enjoy, and this has nothing to do with my normal everyday, but I enjoy watching people like you two go into a liquor store that may be off the beaten track, and immediately you all look at the top shelf and you all start looking around. So now when I'm traveling, I will take pictures, and like I do travel internationally for my job like you do, and I take pictures and Jason will say, oh, that's a good one at that price, or you can do better than that. I'm like, I'm just sending you pictures showing you in case you go, buy it.
We were up in, just like you're talking about, we were up in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, not Michigan, Minnesota, on a grouse hunt. And we went into that liquor store, and lo and behold, they had all sorts of great stuff on the shelf. I think they had a CYPB on the shelf there.
They did.
Yeah, and
That's where you scored that Coy Hill.
Yeah,
I spotted
spotted
the CYPB, and I went, I knew I'm not buying it, but here.
Yeah,
And Jason's like, oh.
So Jack Daniel's Coy Hill, it's a little incognito because it's got that red label to it. That you think, well, okay, it's Jack Daniels. You recognize the iconic bottle, but that red label you're not familiar with. But if you spot it, you instantly know it. And to me, that was a unicorn finding that on the shelf there.
100%.
In the South, I just don't think you could do
No,
that at all.
I've never seen it on a shelf anywhere in the Southeast.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a hard thing to
Well,
find.
the Southeast is a little closer to Jack Daniel's country, so
Maybe we're just smarter than the South.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, that's what we're going with.
As I've been told, and I claim this, is we think fast and talk slow. It's not the other way
I
around.
like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, don't take our talking a little slower as how our brain works.
Yeah, we may sound like howdy doody, but we're not.
Yeah.
We're just talking Tennessee. Thank you, Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
So, Chris, I want to get back to the hunting and fishing guide that you, I think, took from God's call as, yeah, that's what you get to do for a living.
I'll be honest with you. That is what I do for a living, and it has, aspects of it, like the travel and hosting trips and stuff. But I still struggle as an adult, and I imagine I'll struggle till the day I die with, various aspects of life. But many times I have asked God, why? When I've got friends that are captains of industry, neurosurgeons, historians, why do you I'm just a hunting and fishing guide. And I've tried several businesses, and God's like, no, why don't you stick with what you know? No, I got this. I mean, I'm doing well. I'm making lots of money. Okay, well, sooner or later, you're not, I wish he would tell me these things in advance, but you know,
That kind of take the fun out, I guess.
and I used to really struggle with the fact that I have a job that so many people hope to work all their life and retire to do what I get to do every day. I get to watch people have fun. They go hunting, they go fishing, they fellowship. We talk about, I mean, you know, I guess you could call it three guys in a boat sometimes. Or, and I used to think, is this all you want me to do? And the answer I keep getting, even though I don't always listen, is yes, I've given you everything you want. Relax, be good with it, you know, do as good a job as you can. Because, like everybody, I want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant.
Yeah,
You have survivors or a version of survivor's guilt of like, wow, I'm really in this great life.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do. I mean, you know, Jason, you and I have talked, and you're doing exactly what you've known God has wanted you to do ever since you were, I mean, young.
Yeah, junior
And
high, yeah.
Bradford, I hadn't talked to you about that, but yeah, I mean, here I am. I've had my old high school teacher say, I don't even remember this, but yeah, you stood up in my class and said, this is what I'm going to do. And I said, wow, I sure took a roundabout way to get there. But
well, and as the odd man out on the porch, but probably to speak to most of the people watching and listening that have wondered about, well, I didn't have that call, that specific thing, and so I fell into a job or I ended up doing something, and they've battled or struggled with, well, it's just a job, right? And so I just have to do my job and try to provide for my family and find some meaning and purpose in that. And that defines my entire professional life. You know, I work in healthcare. It's my third career. It's not what I was called to do. And so I've had to look for the calling within that, right?
Right.
And so for me, and I'm a different person and a different professional than I was 20 years ago, 15 years ago even. And what I've tried to embrace, in much as you said, Chris, it will always be a battle, you know, of, you know, what is it that I'm supposed to do? But if I have an opportunity to pour into people that I interact with at work and impact them in a positive way, makes a difference. And I work with folks in India, and to see the impact, when we offer somebody a job in India, it's life-changing for them. And I've had an opportunity to play a part in that.
you're changing lives in your everyday, quote unquote, grind.
Yeah. And, you know, 25 years ago, I probably would have impacted or changed that for the negative because I was not an easy person to get along with. But that was my own stuff I was dealing with and had not dealt with. But I think since then, I just really enjoy being able to engage and interact with people and separating the person from the profession and being able to talk to people as, all right, you're a person, all right, and then let's talk professionally. They're two different things.
Yeah, very much so.
Absolutely.
We tend to identify. You meet somebody for the first time. Next question out of your mouth is, "What do you do for a living?"
Yeah.
You know, so somehow in our culture that defines us, and if that job is not in our culture respectable or makes a bunch of money, somehow in our culture we look down on that. Scott Sauls, who will be a guest on a future episode, he told me a story. And whether it's true or not, you know, who knows? But the story goes that NASA's having this, rocket launch, and since we just had one recently, it comes to mind. So the janitor's there, and he's all the press is there. They're here for this launch, and here comes the janitor through, cleaning up and everything. And then one of the press guys turns to him, to the janitor, and says, "What are you doing here?" And the janitor turns to him and says, I'm launching a rocket. And what that is it's the attitude of, yeah, he's the janitor, but and technically, yeah, he's a cog in the wheel.
But he played a part.
He played a part. The janitor, again, metaphorically, the lowest job is still an important role that, hey, that the debris, the trash, if it's not cleaned up, that can lead to a big problem. Or his job enables the next person to do their job, enables that person to do the next job, who lifts that person up, who's the main person. So without that base layer, that foundation, you don't go anywhere.
And I think for me too, and my encouragement to those listening and watching is what you're doing, it really is just a job. And there are other jobs out there. So don't put so much don't put your identity in that job. The identity is who are you as a person and doing well in that job. But because the nature of corporate America is such that you're going to lose that job, right? They're going to come in and, cost-cutting measures or whatever. You may be great at your job, but, they're not going to have that department anymore. So they're going to cut it out. You're going to lose your job. It happens to everybody in that world. Just remember that is not who you are. It is simply what you do.
Right. No matter what you do, if you have a phenomenal job, in my opinion, like I do, I think I have the greatest job in the world, but that's not who I am.
Right.
It's what I'm blessed to get to do.
Yeah.
And occasionally I'm blessed to smoke a fabulous friendship stick and drink some great whiskey.
Indeed. So how did you make the transition from a regular working job that pays the bills to be the hunting and fishing guide? I kind of know this, but we're on a podcast, and so that's, people would love to make that jump, but that's hard to do. And
it is.
You had some acclaim. We mentioned this in the last episode, being outdoorsman of the year from Field and Stream. That's pretty cool, but that doesn't get you a job. It doesn't pay the bills.
How it all started for me was I was in the last episode, I alluded to a gentleman named Raleigh Lane. He came to me. I did a bunch of field studies at school, for which I was paid for, but I was supposed to be taking more hours than I was. So they said, you have a choice. We'll pay you, or we're going to suspend you for a quarter. Well, I took the money, and so I didn't go to school my spring quarter. I certainly wasn't going to go to summer school because I had a summer job. And so he came to me and said, let's start a hunting and fishing store.
Huh.
You've read about this, whether this is true or not, in his opinion, I knew more about this than anybody else. So we ran a store. Basically, I ran a store
in
for
Tennessee?
5 years in Nashville called the Nashville Rod and Gun. It was a cross between a LL Bean and an Orvis, if that rings a bell. It was
Sure.
high-end hunting and fishing. And I loved showing people how to use a fly rod. And so to get out of the store, because 6 days a week was a grind to me, I would take people out. A guy one day handed me some money. I said, no, I'm not a guide. He goes, I don't know why not. This was fantastic. And at the time, my gross pay was $15,000 a year. Now, try being married and, supporting a family on that. And all of a sudden I went, wow, I love doing this. Now, I'm not going to lie, my first marriage was not meant to be. So when I was single, I went to my parents and I said, I want to be a hunting and fishing guide. I sold off the store, and I was willing to eat, people say rice and beans, but I hate beans, so I was willing to eat rice. And I found something I genuinely look forward to getting up to do. I don't sleep well as it is, so getting up at 4 a.m, piece of cake for me. And so I started taking people fishing. Well, I would get tired of fishermen or taking people fishing for the entire year. So that led into me taking people hunting. And I had booked trips in Montana, and I called that outfitter and said, could you use a guide in the fall? And he said, funny you should say that. My wife and I were talking. We'd like you to come out. We'll give you a try. Now, you're going to go to the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
But if you can hack it, we'll see. And I remember it was 2:00 in the morning, a flashlight shone in my eyes in the guide tent. He said, Chrissy, come on out. You're going to learn how to put on snow chains. We had 18 inches of snow overnight. We were at an elk hunting camp, elk and deer. He put on the first snow chain onto one tire. He watched me do the next one, watched me do that entire vehicle, and he said, chains are hanging in the barn. You got 5 more to do.
Wow.
And I laid in the snow, put the chains on, and I went, man, this is kind of cool. You know, I was mad at the time.
I was like, this sounds horrible.
It was, and I have been so many places, and when I'm not in the game, I've been places where I've been guided, and I'm like, I'll do anything to help. I mean, when I was with Jason in Africa, you know, we're setting up,
Which involved having a guide in Africa.
absolutely, a professional hunter and a head tracker and an assistant tracker, and they're out there sweating and swinging machetes and cutting brush,
climbing the trees,
climbing
hanging
the
bait.
trees.
Yeah,
and I wanted to be right in there with them.
and bait doesn't smell very good.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But I could swing a machete, so I was out there. It is so much fun to be involved. And anyway, so I enjoy what I do.
So the passion led the finances.
It did. I mean, honestly, God will provide. So if he's got you where he wants you to be, which, he provides. And, no, I knew that I was never going to be smart enough to travel the world on my dime. So I host trips. Just got back recently from a couple weeks in Chile. I do a trip to Brazil every year. I'm going over to Africa to check out a tiger fishing operation and hope to take people there. I've already booked 4 people there that hardly know me at all. I met them at a dinner party. It's relationships. And just like you guys on the porch, relationships are what guiding, it's what guiding is all about.
So let me ask you this. I think you've had an opportunity to travel internationally. I know that you've had an opportunity, at least recently, to take your wife on some of these trips, but it took you away from your family for a large part of that. I'm curious, looking back, are there regrets?
I have no regrets. If everybody could do it a different way, you might shave off the rough edges, but no regrets. And as Leisha said, when I was dating her, I told her, I said, I'm going to be gone for 3 months and I'll get home when I can. And she said, okay. I said,
and how long have you been married?
You said that kind of quick. And she said, May 4th is my 30th anniversary.
Oh,
and I have 2 beautiful kids.
So for 30 plus years, she has signed up for that life.
She has signed up for that life. And as she will tell you, who can be around you 100% of the time? And it keeps everything fresh.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So in the midst of that, I think, part of that is the battle for contentment. And it's funny to word it that way because contentment would suggest there's no battle, right? But it is kind of the constant creeping of, as my wife says, compare and despair. Or someone I think more eloquently put it that comparison is the thief of contentment or peace.
That's Teddy Roosevelt.
Well, there you go.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you to Teddy.
So that's why I really enjoy some of these expressions. I I'm content with the 15 year. But
Yeah. So, but that comparison creeps up. I know it does for me. You know, I talked about the corporate world. It's you're in a room full of guys, and it's the hierarchical ranking. Oh, well, you're a CEO, and you're an SVP, and you're an executive whatever, and you're a chief of that, or a vice president, or it's always that comparison. And I think for me, it's just kind of gotten to the point that I am who I am, and I've been blessed to do what I do, and I can't worry about what others have done or think about that.
no, honestly, you can't. I was at a party at a person's house that is not a millionaire. They are a billionaire. And why I was there, I don't know. But I was there, and somebody said, as Jason alluded to, "Hey, what do you do for work?" And I said, "I'm a hunting and fishing guide." And they thought I said guy, and they said, yeah, but what do you do for a living? I said, "I take people hunting and fishing and watch them have fun." And some people there were like, "What?" And the host walked up to me later and said, "You don't know how jealous most of us are that you are content in life and you are happy with what you're doing."
This was your billionaire host.
This was my billionaire host.
Wow.
And I said, "I can teach you how to do what I'm doing, and I can build a business plan where you take your clients to do this." And he said, "I would love to, but people wouldn't understand."
Well, you know what they say. Money won't buy you happiness, but you can sure pick your own kind of misery.
Well, as we all know, money isn't everything. Money, it's a shame. It does take money. Many people they work because their calling is to provide for their family.
Yeah.
And they may not see it that way, but,
Which is men, that is our calling.
It is.
And so sometimes you do jobs that you don't enjoy, but that's not the point.
No, that is not the point.
Money's not rich, as Eric Church says, and we always say, money does not bring happiness, but it's really easy to fall into your life of trying to chase money as if it was happiness.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
we all live our life. I shouldn't say we try not to live our lives, but we fall into that. We all live our lives in actuality like money is happiness. But if you ask the question, is money happiness? Oh, no. Everybody will answer that question. But then you look at their lives and the practical aspects of their lives. We end up chasing it, and it just doesn't. It doesn't. Money ain't rich.
Right.
No, but I tell you what, being rich in involving yourself with a core group of friends, that's where it's at.
Do you do that on a regular basis?
It's interesting in today's world with the phone. I reach out and I tap my friends. Just, hey, thinking about you. Hey, what are you up to?
Yeah.
Hey,
I've gotten those texts from you.
and yeah, and it's an opening of, hey, can we get together?
Yeah.
I'm having a struggle, or I'm at a great point in my life. That's why the porch, the parlor, wherever it is so important. You talked about vulnerability. That word kind of makes me crawl a little bit, but there's nothing I like better than hearing other people's stories.
Right.
Because I learn from everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's what's fabulous.
Well, and I think that's a great way to put it. And I hope as we get to the end of our time today, you've had an opportunity to learn a little something about Russell's Reserve and Master's Keep Triumph, and a little bit about how to interact with each other as men in this world that makes it challenging. So thanks for joining us today on Two Guys on a Porch.
But stop before you leave. Punch that like and subscribe button because you don't want to miss anything. You want to be back here for the next episode of Two Guys on a Porch. Cheers.
Please like and subscribe, rate, all the stuff you do on all the social media platforms. Thanks, guys.
Let us know what your drink and cigar of choice is at twoguysonaporch.com, and you'll be entered into a drawing to get some Two Guys on a Porch swag